Attached to this lecture is a template for a resume that you can fill in with your own information. A lot of times, people, especially those going into the IT industry, have misconceptions about resumes. It can be confusing with all of the different theories out there on resumes, especially when two well-informed sources contradict each other. I decided to provide this template and lecture because I want to demystify the resume writing experience. First, let's clear up the difference between a tech and non-tech resume. As an aspiring IT professional, your resume will be very different from your peers entering non-tech fields. IT companies like it when you are direct about your skills. They don't want you to ramble on, just to be direct and straightforward. Here is a list of what I consider the top misconceptions when people are writing an IT resume. The longer the resume, the better. The resume should contain all of my achievements and skills. The resume should list all of the relevant projects I've done. Education should come before skills and experience. And goals should be listed on a resume. Let's debunk these myths and misconceptions one by one. The longer the resume, the better. This is not true. I highly recommend that all resumes should be one page. I know people will push back on this idea, but a resume is a brief summary of your skills and experience. Unless you are a senior developer with at least 10 or 15 years of experience, consolidate your resume to one page. Trust me, anyone reviewing your resume will appreciate that it is short and to the point. You are also more likely that the reviewer will see your accomplishments on the one-page resume. They may not bother to flip to page 2 or 3, and therefore may miss some of the important things that you want them to see. Using the template I have provided will help ensure that your resume is one page long. The resume should contain all of my skills and achievements. Wrong. The resume should contain your best skills and achievements, and only those that pertain to that job. The job is interested in what you can do for them, not what you've done in the past, unless it will help you do the job better. The resume should list all of the relevant projects I've done. The answer to this is no for two reasons. First, that is what a portfolio is for, to show off your projects. A resume should highlight 2 or 3 of your best projects that are relevant to that job. And second, you only want to include the highest quality projects. You don't want to add projects that an employer could find easy mistakes or low quality in. Focus on quality, not quantity. Education comes before skills and experience. This myth refers to the misconception that you should list education above skills and experience on your resume. Okay, I'll be honest. This one is less important than the other myths. Some people will argue that education comes at the top of the resume. However, I personally think that employers first want to see your skills, then your experience, to back up those skills, and then your education. Skills need to come at the top because that is how employers will filter your resume. Goals should be listed on a resume. This is a big myth. Remember what I said earlier? Employers care about what you can do for them, not the other way around. When someone lists a laundry list of goals at the top of their resume, it can put off employers. If you want to put a line about your professional objective, like IT professional with 2 years experience, looking to develop mobile apps for an emergent tech company, go for it. But don't go into detail about the ideal company for you. The company knows that you are interested in them since you are applying to their position. Remember, all of the above is subjective and my own opinion, but it is coming from someone who works in the industry, successfully landed 2 big tech jobs, took part in the Google interview process, and has spoken to around a dozen recruiters. I know the process very well and have a good understanding of what works and what doesn't. Let's open up the resume template attached to this lecture as a course resource. Feel free to fill in your information in the docx file and use it as your resume. That's why I made it for you. Also, feel free to modify it however you like. Honestly, this is the exact format my resume follows, and I found that this ordering and structure works. At the top of the document, centered, goes your name. It is bolded and slightly larger than the rest of the text on the page. Your name is very important and should be easy for the employer to find on the resume. Then, from left to right, on the line beneath the name, we have 3 items. City, state, which is where you live. This lets the employer know where you are located. Your portfolio or website URL comes next. If the employer likes your resume, they may visit your website to get more information about your projects and skills. If you don't have a portfolio or website, you can add the URL link to your LinkedIn account. Finally comes your email address, which is how employers will contact you. Some people like to include their phone number. I don't like my phone number floating around the internet. I always prefer to screen by email. Next up is a series of sections with bolded headings. The first section is your professional profile. It should state your amount of years of experience working in the field and the amount of years using a particular technology. After that come your software engineering skills. One category could be programming languages, and X, Y, and Z could be Python, Java, and C#, for example. A category could also be a piece of software. For example, Unity Game Engine, and X, Y, and Z specify 2D and 3D game development, rapid prototyping, and animation skills. Then comes your relevant work experience. This could be work or internships. First comes the company name and the location. To the right you have the month and year you started, and the month and year you ended the job. For example, March 2017 to September 2018. Underneath the company and location comes the role that you worked. I like to italicize this line. You don't have to list the exact role. For example, if your official role was Associate Computer Technician Level 1, and your job was programming in Python, you could put Python Programmer to make your resume easier to read. The official title may not be understood by people outside of the company. In parentheses comes the skills for the job. For example, if you were a software engineer that used C++, you would put C++ in parentheses to let the reviewer know the main programming language you used at that job. Then come a few bullet points listing your main achievements. You should be specific and use verbs where possible. Led software development team to successful app launch over 2 years reads a lot better than was lead developer on an application that took us 2 years to develop. Follow this pattern for each job you list on your resume. Be cautious of space and don't let it flow over one page. If that becomes too hard, limit yourself to listing 1 or 2 bullet points for each job, or get rid of the awards section at the bottom. Next up is the education section of your resume. First comes the college and city and state that the college is located in. If you got your degree online, just write online instead of the city and state. On the right comes the month and year you started and the month and year you ended. Next comes your GPA. Only list GPA if it is above a 3.0. In fact, part of me wants to say only list it if it is above a 3.4. You want to make sure that you don't put off an employer by listing something that they consider to be low. It also matters where you got that GPA. A 3.5 from MIT is much more impressive than a 4.0 from a community college. After that goes your degree and field of study. For example, Bachelor of Science in Information Technology. The line below that is for you to list a distinction or research. For example, I graduated with an undergraduate thesis in virtual reality game development. Finally comes the awards and honors section. Any achievements in the field that you have can be listed here, as long as they are impressive and relevant. And there you have it. That is how you write a winning resume that will help you get your foot in the door with potential employers. In the next lecture, we will learn how to become a 10x programmer.